This evening, let's explore the benefits of a wandering mind. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you were looking for. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a listen or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly, as transformatively as General Leia Organa learned to do, during the training she received in the events following Return of the Jedi, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. I need to take a moment to tend to my side monitor. All right. Having done that, if at any point during this evening's live stream you find yourself having a question about meditation, or philosophy, or even chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Unless, of course, you're watching a replay, then you'll want to type your question in the comment area below the video. Z on Reddit posted, "First meditation session of my day. I usually meditate around 2 hours after waking up, but for some reason the first session is never as good as the latter one. I get more easily annoyed at mind wandering, and it is harder to enjoy the process." So let's stop right there for a second. So, if you're focusing your mind on one subject and when it moves, you return to that subject, that's not meditation. That's concentration. You're not training the neural pathways responsible for being flexible, loving, laid-back, egalitarian, or cooperative. Au contraire. When we deliberately choose concentration, we are indulging and strengthening and training the neural pathways responsible for being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, and competitive. That path may be good for many things, but it will not take you to peace, no less nirvana. So, contrary to the ravings of establishment fundamentalists, the goal of meditation is not to tell the mind what to do. Rather, our job is to treat the mind like a playwright, and ourselves, for want of a better term, as the audience. We're not the director, we're not the producer, we're just sitting in the audience watching what's going on. Z continues, "I've also tried to meditate as soon as I wake up, but it is hard to stay present, even though mind wandering is not very active at that time." What is present? The first of the 7 enlightenment factors is mindfulness. Mind can notice sensation, flavor, scent, sound, sight, and the like. Mind can notice emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination. Let us put aside our controlling tendencies and not tell mind what to notice. Allow mind to notice whatever it notices. Allow this process to occur spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. And the only label we need ever use is simply the pronoun this. Is this normal for everyone, that not all sessions are equally good? I would suggest to you that good is not whether or not you were able to successfully indulge their controlling tendencies. Good is simply that you are able to notice what's going on with each enthusiastic inhalation, and that you're able to make peace with what's going on during each relaxing exhalation. That is the test of a good session. Here, next comes my formal response written 6 days ago. Fear not the wandering of your mind, for its travels are integral to healing and enlightenment. Although we read how our primal drives of dread and desire could undermine our peace, it is a far different thing to extricate ourselves from their influence. Perhaps that is why the Buddha taught contemplation, mindfulness, and meditation. Petty aversions and attachments are easily released by mindfulness meditation's silent recitation of notice this and relaxing during our respective inhalations and exhalations. But what of the hidden things, subtle and unremembered? Fortunately, our mind, like a truffle pig, can uproot memories and fantasies, dark and hidden and long forgotten. Although these dark things on earth could spin us into turmoil, contemplation's rhetorical question, this and that, how not to, could make short work of them and soon have us meditating like a Jedi. Excuse me, my goodness. This is a groggy evening. What I'd like to do right now, in preparation for this evening's chant and meditation, I'd like to spend approximately 15 seconds on housekeeping. If there are lessons you'd like to request, or if you simply wish to support the continued availability of these classes, there is a Patreon link in the description area below the video. Well, I am just Prince Charming right now, aren't I? Excuse me. Wow. Okay, here we go. Let us perform a chant of love and enthusiastic intention. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. And now let us chant the second chapter of the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to, quick like a bunny, so tap button 14. Oh, excuse me. Chapter 2, Lessons Learned from Interdependence. The world knows beauty, yet when beauty appears, ugliness arises too. The world knows virtue, yet when virtue appears, recklessness arises too. Lao Tzu has set the scene with an uncertain correlation. But what is the cause behind this ugliness and recklessness? Could it be that our controlling tendencies label could it be, let's try this again. Could it be that our controlling tendencies label which feed our rigidity and court disaster? Let's read on. Presence and absence create the other. Hard and easy define each other. Long and short offset the other. High and low position the other. Sound and silence harmonize one another. Front and last follow the other. The first clue seems to be the universality of interdependence. Everything affects everything, and everything is affected by everything, directly or circuitously, immediately or eventually, overtly or subtly, actually or potentially. Actually. Hence the wise abide without action, teach without words, attend to all things without withdrawing. Act without expectation, succeed without claiming. In not claiming, nothing is lost. Could interdependence, latent and spontaneous, make the indulging of our controlling tendencies an unnecessary, vulgar, and distracting thing? Let's write destructive instead. I think that's better. All right. Now, let us return to the primary practice text. Who can make the muddy water clear? Let it be still, and it will gradually become clear. Who can secure the condition of rest? Let movement go on, and the condition of rest will gradually arise. Now it's time for a bit of the old silent meditation. A kitty cat spends most of his days napping, resting, if you will, and we can rest in mindfulness and meditation. Here's how. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, notice this. During each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, accepting. Now, why is it that, I should probably rephrase that. I should probably say that during each enthusiastic inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "Notice this." And during each relaxing exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite "Accepting." But why is that? Whether we know it or not, every time we inhale, we access our sympathetic nervous system, which supports the sensory acuity, which allows us to notice. Allows us to notice the external or the internal, the physical or the mental, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. And when we do this noticing, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and spontaneously, then the only label we need ever use is simply the pronoun "this." But whatever are we to do with all this stuff that we notice? Fortunately, every time we exhale, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release. We could release our habitual resistance to the presence of what we hate, the absence of what we crave, the loss of that to which we cling. Releasing our resistance sets space for us to accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. But like a kitty cats don't sleep forever. They get up, they yawn, they stretch, they look around, pick a fight, and then get the zoomies. When we get the zoomies, when we are stuck in pushing or pulling or clinging, these 4 contemplations can be useful. We recite these contemplations silently and mentally, in harmony with our enthusiastic inhalation and our relaxing exhalation. 1 time each should be sufficient. This won't make things go away, but it will help us to experience a greater amount of peace in relationship to the stuff in our life. It's approximately 17 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate.
Wow, super tired, guys. Sorry. Oof. Oof.
Come, let us reason. What if there was a difference between intuition and neurosis, craven and jittery and oft mistaken, but clever enough to often disguise itself as intuition? How do we know the difference? If we are scattered, that's neurosis. If we are controlling, that's neurosis. If our spontaneity is centered, that's intuition. We are wired to be manipulative. One of the many ways we often try to manipulate people is with morality. If you don't do as I say, you're bad. If you do as I say, you're good. But just because we like something doesn't make it good. And just because we don't like something doesn't make it bad. How then can we make people treat us right? We can't. If people treat us right, we can associate with them. If people treat us disrespectfully, we can ask them not to. If they persist in treating us like an object, disrespectfully in a demeaning, destructive way, we say our goodbyes and love them from afar. We don't control people. So, if the majority of things we like and dislike are neither good nor bad, what makes someone good or bad is their love for others, their ability to respect the harmless wishes of others. So what's a harmful wish? Go shoot yourself in the head. That's a pretty harmful wish. Go murder the neighbor. That's a harmful wish. Give me black tar heroin. That's a pretty harmful wish. So if someone expresses their harmless needs to us, and we disregard those needs, then doesn't speak very well. There's a difference between really trying to meet someone's needs and not having the ability to meet their needs, but you do have the intention. That's completely different. If you don't care about meeting someone's needs, it doesn't speak well of your love for them. Our acceptance does not come from belief or fear. Our acceptance must not come from pseudo-intellectual skullduggery. It must come from the yogic practice of enthusiastic inhalation and relaxing exhalation. That is the only sustainable way that I am aware of. The measure of a contemplative is not their body's proclivity for austerities, but their mind's flexibility. If, when confronted with substantial evidence that contradicts our preconceptions, we can adjust our worldview, that speaks highly of our spirituality. If we are so rigid we will close our eyes to the truth in the name of comfort and convenience, then we have taken a wrong turn. This, to me, brings to mind The Name of the Rose, a murder tale most medieval in nature, taking place in, I think it was a French monastery or an Italian monastery, in the Middle Ages, starring Sean Connery and a very young actor whose name eludes me at this time. And it was a wonderful movie. But the abbot of the monastery would rather die than accept that certain texts lauded by the Catholic Church were in disagreement with his worldview. I remember having a conversation with some Laotian monks, and they said quite stoutly, "You must not eat after, mid-morning." And I said, "Well, the Buddha taught 3 exceptions to that rule. Do you remember them?" And as monks, they should know them. And the response was, "Doesn't matter. Don't eat after mid-morning." And in their enthusiasm, in their rigidity, they were ignoring the words of the Buddha. So Catholics do not have a monopoly on the tragedy of rigid-mindedness. It is an attribute of all who traverse the path of Yang. It is a common fear that if we are accepting, we'll be a doormat. But I would say to you, be like a leaf in the wind. It is not to control its path, direction, or speed, but it is dynamic. We access centered spontaneity through a consistent and effective meditation practice. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow through this centered spontaneity, life works much, much better, than when we're scattered or stuck in contrivance. It is one of my many wishes that all children in all lands be taught critical thinking skills, be taught the ability to recognize logical fallacy, cognitive bias, and be able to organize their thoughts in a rational, flexible, and creative manner. I'm reminded of the heartbreaking movie Anna and the King, in which a woman and a man are executed by a bloodthirsty crowd for crimes they did not commit, based on zero evidence, nothing more than suspicion and illogic. These people were accused of horrible crimes, surrounded by people who hated them, and then publicly murdered. This is not uncommon. When rigidity blends with cruelty, bad things happen. That is why we embrace compassion and flexibility. Let us seal tonight's practice with a chant of love. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. May all beings master the Tao of simplicity, patience, and compassion, that all may be spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the comment area. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it on social media. In approximately 11 hours or so, we could explore noble friendship. Until then, as well, and of course we'll also chant and meditate. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.